Lee Dahl has another program that he's been producing. It's a retro 70s detective drama that is action-packed. The show is called The Fixer, and joining us today are the two stars of the show, Brian St. August and Alfred Guy. Welcome to Smash or Trash, gentlemen.
Nice to have you.
Thank you.
Now, Brian, you've done a lot of work on television and in movies. Now, how exactly did you get started in this business, especially the independent movie business?
My daughter is an excellent actress, as my son is as well. She was doing a project 11 years ago for Don Dohler called Harvesters, and they needed a sheriff. She had been doing sides with me and said, "Would you like to have me submit you for this?" I said, "Great." So I did it. It was fun.
They thought you fit the bill, and there you were.
I had a ball.
That's fantastic. Now, since then, you've done stuff for Discovery and soap operas, and I mean, everything from small to large. So that's just fantastic. I mean, and this is full time for you?
Yes, it is. It is full time.
Oh, wow, that's great. Now, what can you guys tell us about your characters and the overall premise of The Fixer? Alfred, let's start with you.
Well, I play a character. His name is Yebeb. He is a mysterious character who has, it's hinted at that he has certain powers and abilities, and he finds Brian's character, The Fixer, and starts to kind of bring him back to where he can be a positive force.
How do you feel that you relate to the character? I mean, is it close to you? Is there similarities, or is there, totally different from who you are?
Well, Yebeb is close to me. We do have some similar personality traits. He takes responsibility very seriously. He's very committed to his ideals and to the people he's involved with. Very accountable, responsible person, and I think that's the similarities. He's very stoic. I think that I might be a little bit more outgoing than Yebeb. Very quiet, very serious, but able to take action when necessary.
Okay, all right. No, that's great. Brian, I want to pose the same question to you. I mean, how, the overall premise as you see it, and how you relate to your character, what your character's like.
Well, my character, his real name is William Lawson, and he was a very successful attorney that his father was killed by apparently someone that William Lawson had incarcerated. After his father died, he took responsibility for that, wound up boozing it up big time, got disbarred, just hit the bench. And as a matter of fact, that's where Yebeb found my character.
On a literal bench.
Yeah, literally, sleeping on a bench.
And how do you relate to the character as far as what do you think is similar to you, and how are you guys completely, separate as far as entities?
No, in some ways, he's a little so familiar to me that it's scary. Because I have a very strange sense of humor, and I've been known to party hard.
Now, Alfred, I've got a question for you. You've also been, besides being the associate producer on this first episode, you've been the stunt coordinator for this.
That's right.
Now, I've seen the trailer, I've seen the episode, and this looks very fight intensive. I mean, what did you have to do to get the crew and the cast, set for this? What kind of time period was it?
Well, it took a few weeks, and the advantage was most of the extras you see, virtually everyone, is an actual martial artist. So it didn't take teaching. It just took having mapped out what the choreography would be and explaining to everyone what they would do. Mm-hmm. So the first part of it was kind of storyboarding, and I wrote out what every character was going to do, who they were going to do it with, and where they would be standing.
I know that the character of the Fixer does some of this fighting in there. Now, did you work with Brian on those parts, or I mean, was that? How much involvement did you have with his particular scenes?
Well, Brian is a martial artist also, so that was an advantage. It was pretty much the same process. I actually stood in for him during a lot of the practicing, and worked with more the younger people, so they would know what they were doing. Okay. And then I just went and worked with Brian and said, here's how you would interact with them. So they already knew pretty much their part. And then when Brian got there, it was easy to mesh those together. And actually, since you mentioned those scenes, there are a couple scenes that are my favorite, and his fight sequence happens to be one of my favorite.
It looks really good when it's cut together. And speaking of which, About how many times did you guys have to do the scene just to get the different type of coverage?
Well, with all the camera angles, we wound up doing it several times, and then you wanted to make sure that it captured what you wanted to see. So it was a learning experience trying to find out how that would portray on screen. So I would say each take minimum 3 or 4 times, maybe a little bit more depending on what we were doing.
Okay. Now, did you ever have to stop a scene because of safety issues? I mean, you are the stunt coordinator.
Well, safety was our biggest concern with the entire thing. The one stoppage we had was doing an outdoor scene. It was late at night. It was approaching midnight. We started to collect dew on the safety mats, which made them very slick. And I was concerned that we might have to halt the whole production, and it was going to be a chore having everybody come back. So what we wound up doing was turning them over to the underside.
Okay.
Actually, it's a rubberized honeycomb surface, which worked out really well to keep them on the floor.
Right.
It gave us maybe 45 minutes of traction, and we were able to finish. Had we not been able to finish,
You
we'd
would've had
have to come
bring
back,
everybody-
right?
oh.
Because we couldn't chance anybody getting hurt because of that.
Right, and it sounds like that was probably a long evening as it was.
Very much so.
Now, I mean, how did you guys get these locations? I mean, this is incredible. I mean, how did you get a police station or the banquet hall?
Well, a lot of the exteriors, and I think it added to the production that we were able to go down toward the shipyards and the docks and things like that. However, the majority of the scenes were done at a martial arts school, actually specifically my martial arts school where I instruct and train. The police station was the martial arts academy. Our apartment, there's a martial arts master. His studio is our studio, which didn't take a lot because doing the same thing, right? But I don't know what the percentage would be, but
The restaurant.
the restaurant, the banquet hall, all of that is our studio.
What about the warehouse? Did you shoot in a warehouse?
Well, the warehouse, well, that was a little bit different. That was our studio also. Yes, we shot there. All we needed was some boxes,
Oh
and
my
we were able
God.
to make all these different scenes. And that's where having that location and then having Jeff put that together to cast the illusion that we're somewhere else really paid off, and it really looked sharp.
Well, that's fantastic. So basically, you had the room in order to build these different sets.
Yes, yes.
Oh, that's great.
High ceilings and a lot of open space.
That must have been
Absolutely.
kind of nice to have been able to have one place to like make different settings.
Oh, sure. I mean, it cuts down on so many things. It cuts down on traveling to different areas, getting permits to different areas, getting access to different areas. So anytime you can do that, you're going to cut time and costs. So it was very fortunate that we could do that.
So basically, that's a good thing for any indie filmmaker out there is use your resources. And obviously, you guys used this martial arts academy to its fullest.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Now, how did you guys feel about that? I mean, you have seen the finished product. How did you
Yes.
feel it turned out?
I thought it was interesting. I mean, I think it's got a good flow to it. The editing's super. The photography's super. I have to say that Lee Dahl is one of the most creative producers in Baltimore. That he is the most creative, the most productive. He's released so much product at a high quality that it's just amazing what he's done. So I think Alfred and I are both kind of waiting on his creative process as to what happens with The Fixer. And I think we're both also waiting to see how the first one gets received.
Okay.
You know, it's a unique project. You don't know, how people are going to
Well, I
respond.
mean, you guys had to have had fun on this.
Oh, yeah. If nothing
Yeah.
else, we had fun.
Oh,
great.
yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
great.
and I mean, I've seen the episode, and there's a lot of good acting, a lot of good atmosphere, heck of a lot of fight sequences. You know, not to mention some cool mystical special effects at the beginning.
Oh.
Now, Brian, where can filmmakers get in contact with you? Do you have a website?
Sure do. There's 2 ways they can get me. One is www.brianstaugust.com,
Okay.
and that's Saint ST. There's no period or anything.
No period.
It's all one
okay.
word.
All right.
And on Facebook as Brian St. August. And I really chat with a lot of the people that are friends of mine.
Well, it's
you know,
a good,
in
it's
the
a good
business.
networking tool. What about yourself?
Yeah, I'd like to second that. The best way to get in touch with me is just friend me on Facebook under, it's just my name, Alfred Guy.
Mhm.
And, later on I'm looking to maybe start a web page. And so that's where you would find out what that web page is. It'd be the easiest thing to do.
Well, Brian and Alfred, congratulations on this premiere episode. And we hope to have you back. Hope to see a lot more of The Fixer coming up.
Thank you, Rob. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
having us.
Oh, pleasure to have
Thanks,
you on
Rob.
the show. Hope you're back.